This is Michael Popok. Look at the time. Look at my glasses. It's Legal AF After Dark. Donald Trump has put the government on notice. That means you and me and taxpayers and voters, that he plans on suing them for $100 million because he claims he was maliciously prosecuted by Jack Smith, the special counsel in the Lago case, now dismissed until we get an 11th Circuit ruling. How does he do it? Why is he giving the government notice? Why hasn't he filed his lawsuit? Will he win the lawsuit? What will happen to the lawyers for bringing such a frivolous motion? What judge will ultimately decide it? Interested? Piqued your interest? Tune into Legal AF. Here's a clip. Let's turn to Donald Trump's threats. Just again, a screed masquerading as a legitimate legal position, a campaign, a talking point to steal a news cycle, masquerading as something legitimate, an airing of grievances once again by Donald Trump when he's not suing the Democratic National Committee, Hillary Clinton, the Pulitzer Prize Board, George Stephanopoulos, ABC. I mean, the list goes on. I said on a hot take recently, Karen, there couldn't possibly be as many conspiracies that people believe exist because there are not enough people in the United States to participate in all of these conspiracies, right? There's too many there's just too many conspiracies. It'd be the entirety of America would have to be involved in all these conspiracies. He's always blaming somebody else. And now that he got Aileen Cannon, who will ultimately get reprimanded and slapped back for the third time by the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals when they get around to it in the fall about her dismissal of the case, the Mar-a-Lago case, because she believes that the prosecutors are a figment of our imagination, that they are illegitimate, they are rogue, that they weren't properly appointed, that they're not inferior officers that work under the Department of Justice and its Attorney General, that there's something else entirely, ignoring 50 years of United States Supreme Court precedent, starting with the Nixon case, and dismissed the case. And Donald Trump said, aha, I've got something I can do. I'll put the government on notice that I'm going to sue the United States of America for $100 million because of this malicious prosecution. Why don't you break it down for our audience, Karen, and tell us what you think is going to happen to the lawyers and to Donald Trump if this lawsuit ever actually gets filed?
I mean, so within the 2-year statute of limitations, they had to kind of initiate that, and within the time period to perfect their notice of appeal, they filed kind of this intention to appeal is the best way I would describe it. And it's basically a notice that he plans to sue the Department of Justice and the FBI for $115 million for, quote, malicious political prosecution and abuse of process. And he is essentially accusing the Department of Justice and Jack Smith and the leadership of basically malicious political prosecution and saying that they did it in order to affect an electoral outcome and prevent Trump from being reelected. So he claims that this malicious prosecution led Trump to spend millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars to defend the case and his reputation. And his attorney that he hired to do this, his name is Daniel Epstein. He's a former White House lawyer, and he now is a lawyer with or some kind of high up person with an organization called America First Legal or something like that, founded by Stephen Miller, another Trump crony. And the filing essentially states that the search warrant was improper and the subsequent indictment was improper, and that the search violated the, quote, well-established protocol involving former presidents. I don't know where he got that from. And so, I don't know where this protocol is that he's referring to, but that's what he says, this well-established protocol, and essentially saying, What I loved about it was his this protocol that he's citing to. He cites his own social media post on Truth Social, right? And he basically says, look, the government could have had these documents. All they had to do was ask for them, these records, and But the thing is, and that's what this notice says, but it leaves out and it omits the truth. And that is what I love about Legal AF, because what we do is we actually tell the truth. It's one thing, right? If you were just an alien from Mars coming down from outer space and you were reading this and you see that they said that a lawyer would represent in court, an officer of of the court. I mean, we are required to tell the truth. We're required to tell the full picture. When you make a legal argument, if there are cases that don't support your position, you don't leave them out. You talk about them and you say why your case is distinguished from it. But you have a reputation, you have an obligation to complete the story, to tell the truth, to bring it all out. But Trump's lawyers and Trump himself, they live in this world of half truths or of outright lies. And that's what I love about Legal AF, is that the whole purpose is to give the context and the truth, and to read the filings ourselves, and to tell everybody what actually is going on. Because like I said, if you were an alien from outer space coming down and reading this filing that this lawyer, Daniel Epstein, filed, he literally just says, look, he shouldn't have done it. They could have had the stuff back if they asked for it. And they leave out the whole part of this that's in the search warrant, where the Department of Justice spelled out multiple times, right? Multiple times, both the National Archives and the Justice Department, for Trump to return the records. They even identified some of the records that they knew he had because it was missing when they turned over the records. And so, they not only asked for it multiple times, the Department of Justice issued a subpoena for the return for these documents multiple times. And an attorney for Donald Trump even signed a declaration stating, oh, everything's been returned, when it's not true. It did not happen that way. And so it's just really kind of another outrageous legal filing that, it's like a precursor. It's an intention to file, but it's a very misleading piece of, frankly, propaganda, I think. And this was invited by Eileen Cannon, who dismissed this case. And so they cite to her, and they cite to her decision dismissing the case. And, I have a question for you, Popok. When is the 11th Circuit going to come in and reverse this ridiculous and lawless decision? I don't understand what's taking them so long.
Well, they set a briefing schedule out in September, and Jack Smith didn't object. Jack Smith is running an elaborate chess game here, but I think he's already decided to pick his battles, and that he's never going to get the Lago case up and running before the election or even the inauguration at this rate. And he's got his hands full in the DC election interference case with Judge Chutkan. Although I think he will ultimately thread the needle with Judge Chutkan, convince her that his indictments as is, or maybe with a little bit of blue penciling, withstands the instructions of the United States Supreme Court in the immunity decision, as do the 2 counts for obstruction of an official proceeding. But he's picking his battles. It's obvious, and he's not asking for things to go faster. He's asking for them to go slower, because he's also within, as you know, from being the head of a large prosecutorial organization, he's got lots of division heads, civil and criminally, that he's consulting with about what to do and what position to take about the immunity, not just for the Trump case, but for, generational stuff in the future for the Department of Justice, because if they make a false step, then it'll impact future prosecutions of future Donald Trumps, or worse, if you can imagine that could possibly be true, and they're worried about that. So the 11th Circuit said, early fall, and it gave him the right to ask for expedited. He didn't ask for expedited, although I thought for sure he was going to, and so that's on that track. And he asked for 3 more weeks with, as we reported a couple of weeks ago, with Judge Chutkan in D.C. And Judge Chutkan gave him the 3 more weeks and set a date, I think it's September the 5th or the 6th, to be in the court. September's going to be very busy, now that we got our dates straight. September 16th and 18th in New York, September 6th or whatever with Judge Chutkan. We're getting a lot to talk about. If people thought Legal AF was going to go out of business anytime soon, it won't. And even after Donald Trump, it won't. There's certainly an audience here for what we're doing. Welcome back. We sit at the intersection of law and politics, so you don't have to. We bring that show to you every Wednesday and Saturday with a live recording right here on the MeidasTouch network, called Legal AF, where we curate the top 3 or 4 stories at the intersection of law and politics. We bring it to you just like that. You can also get us, if you don't want video, you can get audio. Download the audio version. Listen to the audio version of Legal AF wherever you get your podcast from. Wednesdays, we do the show. It's me and Karen Friedman Agnifilo. Saturday, me and Ben Mysalis. And then on hot takes like this about every day, right at the intersection of law and politics. We don't blow smoke or sunshine, and we're practicing lawyers who know what we're talking about at that intersection. We're almost never wrong. Want to know why we call it Legal AF? Now you know why. If you know all about us, you're already part of our audience. Thank you for being part of the 3 million strong that support this network and Legal AF. If you don't know about the show, I think if you like that clip, you'll like the show. And I welcome you to join us Wednesdays, Saturdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and on every audio podcast platform. Just tap in Legal AF. So until my next hot take, until my next Legal AF, this is Michael Popok reporting. Heary, Legal AF Law Breakdown is now in session. Go beyond the headlines and get a deep dive into the important legal concepts you need to know and we discuss every day on Legal AF. Exclusive content you won't find anywhere else, all for the price of a couple of cups of coffee. Join us at patreon.com/legalaf. That's patreon.com/legalaf.